really looking at this Aurora. NIP choose to leave it up. That is a gamble which you can kind of use once in a series. You don't want to give up multiple games to that.
No, I mean, you absolutely cannot. But we'll see if their answer is going to be the right one here. It feels like a multiple choice question, but you don't know which one is it. Usually it's C. I'll just say that right now. But the Aurora is going to be something that needs to be answered to. The Ezreal right now still providing some flexibility for NIP.
So, in terms of what you want to pick into the Aurora, one, you want to pick stuff which can potentially blink out of that ultimate. The Ezreal helps with the AD carry. You're not going to be an AD carry that is stuck within that ring and kind of keep bouncing off against that wall. In terms of the lane matchup, I've seen Yone, I've seen LeBlanc do quite well into that lane, and sometimes the Lucian can do quite well too. All of these things are quite good for rookies, so we'll see what he wants to pick up into that individual lane matchup. Though very early, though, the Rel is given over to Zhuo, who I think had a great couple of games on this in their first series, and it is a takeaway from missing.
Man, some of those engages, holy cow, he earned an MVP for a reason. See if they can kind of pair some of that up here with that in the second phase, or even finish out this first phase. JDG, on the other hand, going to go with the classic. It will be the Kaisa here, so giving a little bit of damage potential, but the follow-through going to be super lethal.
So you need some hard CC, that's where the Nautilus comes in. I also wonder whether we're going to get something spicy out of Kanavi. I think you need a dive jungler here. I don't want to see Kanavi on something kind of backline.
You got to put pressure on Leyan.
I wonder whether we see Kanavi going towards either something like a Nidalee, which is very, very aggressive, but we have seen stuff like Viego, Lee Sin, and also Nocturne coming out with this combination with the Aurora, because the Aurora goes invisible. And I think there's actually a bit of an issue here with the Zyra. Now, Zyra, if you get caught out by an Aurora ultimate, and Kai'Sa starts flying through as well, if CC starts to land, you don't survive. So NIP, they need to be very careful in the second round of the draft to lock in something which can just provide a front line well enough for this Zyra. I think you're probably looking maybe towards Shanji, going towards maybe even the Udyr again. We could even see the Udyr if he wants to get a pushing lane in that top lane. We've seen it a little bit there, which is right, it's exactly banned away from JDG. It's kind of nice to know that the teams are on the same page as us as well. NIP, they do need a front line for the Zyra, otherwise this is going to be nasty for that jungler to survive this big dive burst combo, which is being set up by JDG.
Research does the body good, at least in this first game, trying to take away some of the pieces that worked so well for NIP as well, on the other hand. But take it away, a crucial Kanavi snowball champion potentially in the Viego. And I like where NIP's head's at. I think they realize that Kanavi has been one of the most disgustingly ruthless junglers in this split. And I think he's here to try to take advantage of Leyan. And that's why I raised that big question is he going to be able to hang on?
Well, NIP, they changed out their jungler in this roster. They brought out Aki and they brought in Leyan to hopefully give themselves a bit more oomph in that jungle role, because Aki was struggling. At JDG, they lock away a lot of that front line, which means that Leyan or the Zyra might be the person with the target on his back. What are NAP going to do now? You can potentially put your mid lane pick in right now. The Lucian isn't bad. It's mobile. It's pretty good against getting away from dives too, because you can dash backwards and fire your culling at the first person into the fray. And we have seen it do okay in the individual lane matchup into the Aurora. Does struggle in mid-late game, though. You just don't do the team fight value, which Aurora can do. Last pick top lane for Shanji. I think that's important. It does give you some ability to allow Shanji to potentially outvalue Flandre in the laning phase, which sometimes Shanji has struggled with.
I think that laning phase could actually turn into something maybe a little bit more important, especially when you start getting these more interesting matchups in that solo lane. But it will be the Jace locked in here for a little bit of that extra poke damage, that follow through I was talking about. But they need more setup here, it feels like, for JDG. They need a little bit more of those go buttons to pad on to that dive composition, and it will end up being the Sejuani for Kanavi.
Right. So, just one note here as well, as the Nasus gets locked in for Shanji. We'll forget about that note. We got that dog in us today. Shanji locks in the Nasus towards the top lane. He has played it before. We saw it a little bit in spring. We saw it, I believe, maybe 1 or 2 games in summer as well. He brings it out again, and the whole idea is that Jace runs at you, gets withered, and then can't run away. So Flandre needs to be quite careful in this matchup now. Was wondering actually whether we'd see the Jace be flexed into mid lane and have that Aurora go topside, but Jace doesn't really like playing into the Lucian either, so it kind of has to be, alright, take phase rush, use that slow resist when the wither comes down at the right point, and try and stop the Nasus from having that rundown potential, and then of course translate into those later teamfights. The combo from JDG is absolutely disgusting. They hit the right target at the right time. I will say the problem with the Nasus, great against the Jace, not great at performing against that front line. I do think that NIP, they can't afford to overstep, they can't afford to give easy access for that combo to land onto them. If they let that Sejuani ult come out of nowhere, the Aurora ult come out of nowhere, I think they're going to lose this game. So they need to be very, very careful and very aware of the bullets in the chamber of JDG's guns.
I'm very worried for Leyan, who on the Zyra, yes, we've seen a little bit of proactivity from him in their last series, but it truly is a pick that you're fine kind of farming up, and Kanavi is going to be active as much as possible, trying to get to level 6, and then once he gets to level 6, trying to combine with a lot of those damage potentials that we see from them. So really all eyes on JDG for some of the activity they're going to bring to this one.
Proactivity from JDG. They weren't always the most early game active team, but they have grown into that, particularly when Kanavi is on form. He has a champion that can do that, and in our first game here in round 2 of LPL playoffs, we'll see exactly how active they get.
Love to hear it. The crowd getting into it already in Zhuo. But both these teams, a lot on the line here. One best of 5 separates you from being done in 2024. And from continuing on the road to the Silver Dragon Cup. I think with the track record of these teams, that kind of revenge we were talking about JDG were looking for coming into this summer split after a very disappointing spring. It differs a lot from the miracle workers that are in IP, especially the little bit of a run they made in that spring playoffs, but now trying to make the campaign for Rookie of the Worlds happen in 2024 summer.
It's been a long time since Rookie's been to an international event. JDG, they've been much more of an international mainstay. Rookie does need to be quite careful scouting this out. Yagao's going to get himself that electrocute. Nice damage onto Rookie at the level 1. Yeah, this Aurora does have some nasty trades right from the very start of the game. You can see that JDG not going to be able to interfere with the Zyra plant spawn, which is often what you're looking to do at this level 1, but they do get information that he is going from top lane to bot lane, which might help Kanavi make his own decisions in terms of where he wants to make his impact felt first.
I mean, crucial to keep our eyes on how interesting Kanavi keeps his pathing here. Maybe goes with the full IQ pathing, and also just maybe trying to influence that bot lane, or both these junglers, as they will be pathing that way as quickly as possible. But that's where we can also spend a little bit of time talking about Rookie versus Yagao. Not only a legendary matchup in mid lane, but it is another Aurora in the roster. Rookie's answer, the Lucian.
And we have seen across the world some attempted answers since the Aurora. You know, it's not 100% win rate champion. It's not like it's unbeatable or whatever. But we've seen some of the AD carry mids do completely fine because they're still just early lane dominant champions. But it really is a question of later into the game, can Rookie keep himself safe from Yagao? Because if you are still stuck within that Aurora ultimate, there are problems. Well, we're talking about that. Leon's going into the enemy jungle. Level 3, level 2. Kanavi.
He's the one being aggressive. I like it. It's the plants, man. The plants make people do crazy things. Missing is almost dead in bot side. How did that happen? NIP getting advantages here to lean towards Leyan, invading Kanavi's jungle.
Great early levels for NIP, pushing in mid lane, pushing in bot lane. Doesn't matter that Shanji is getting pushed in top lane. He's a Nasus. He'll just keep stacking up there unless he dies. He's not really under... he's just not really caring about what happens in this early game. So Leyan gets himself another red buff, and he gets himself the Krugs. And this is what we're seeing from the 2v2 there as well. Early level 2 hit, and just so much damage coming through. Lucky to get out alive there. Good laning phase from NIP, unlocking extra options in the early game.
They need to keep that kind of mentality here. Just be aggressive, keep up the tempo against JDG in some regards. I think Leyan obviously is going to be stronger as time goes on, but just making sure that JDG don't have control. Because we know that when JDG do wrestle control of the map from teams, it does not look pretty.
No, that is one of the things we learned about this team. Now, there were criticisms about JDG earlier in this split, earlier in the year, which is this team doesn't have an early game unless Kanavi starts popping off. And the great thing is Kanavi does often pop off, but what happens now in games like this where he doesn't? That's where we get to the second string to JDG's bow. They are a team which can do very, very well once they organize that map, once they get to the point where they have power on Yagao, Kanavi to start comboing up together. So NIP, I think they've done point 1 on the checklist of how to deal with JDG. Make sure that Kanavi doesn't have the best early game. Now point 2 is making sure that they don't settle in, start slowing the game down and wait for that one big fight. They do need to be quite careful here to JDG not to give too many early advantages over.
Yeah, I think, again, the bot lane could be a bit of a focus for NIP with the pathing they had, but if they can take advantage of what's been a little bit of a weak point, could be huge as JDG get a Spider-Man their way out of that bot lane gank from NIP.
Means that the wave will crash in just fine. With that by Kanavi, now in top lane.
Instant ghost. You have a good follow through from JDG. The nice hammer slam back there. Shanji still has ghost activated and try to get his way out of this one. Maybe get a couple stacks on his way out as he will slowly but surely give first blood over to none other than Flandre in his return.
So, JDG, they get their jungler onto the board. They get their top laner onto the board. Bottom's going to have a quick 2v2. Don't think that's going to lead to a kill at this point, but that top lane matchup, that could be a bit of an issue now. We did say that the Nasus doesn't care unless he dies. Well, he's died. That's a bit of a problem. Leyan now on bot side to maybe look for potentially a cross map, but it's not happening that quickly. Kanavi can be down here in quite short order. I don't really think there's dive threat here.
It would be a little dicey. The reason why you grab this Kai'Sa Nautilus matchup is because the damage you can put through with the plasma stack so quickly with the stun that Nautilus brings is so detrimental to your health bars. The big stack wave, though, is going to be something that Ruler has to chew through down here. The next thing to look at, though, objectives. Both going to be up on the board. Both junglers resetting back onto the map, and both of them heading up towards this top side where the grubbies reside.
Yeah, and the reason they weren't taken on spawn, that's why they're still available now, is because both of these junglers understand the importance of getting active in those lanes, or in the case of Leyan as well, getting himself that gold early as well on an AP farming champion, getting so many camps away. Does mean that the objectives are going to be slow to the take, but with the resets coming through, both teams do have options. You don't have Flandre with Flash, which could be a bit of an issue. I think that Jace with Flash in early game is an absolutely different beast to Jace without it. Kanavi is going to go towards these grubs first, though, and there's no contest coming through. Leyan's just happy to just keep getting some fun.
I mean, Kanavi's finally going to catch up a little bit with the grubs takes here, but Leyan with the massive farm advantage is just going to keep presiding that lead over Kanavi. Luckily, Kanavi does get that extra XP buff from those grubs that he'll pick up.
And I think this is a great time to once again check in with this matchup, which we've highlighted, this jungle matchup, because Kanavi, the central pillar of JDG, Leyan, the bold switch out from NIP. It is quite difficult to replace a jungler, particularly once you've had him in a team for a long time. Leyan comes in, and he is focusing on individual carry potential. He's double the farm pretty much of this other jungler. He's level 6, very powerful, can't get himself ganked right there, but he does have that level 6, would have been very, very powerful amounts of damage coming through if he'd landed that. But still, Leyan choosing to go for his own selfish power, which is completely fine on a champion like the Zyra, over going towards the objectives, and it is working out for him in the individual gold right now.
Trying to take hold of some of that IG synergy.
True, yes.
But see if it actually comes to fold.
Yeah, it was like... Well, I think it was with Aki and Shanji. They had 300 games together as a duo. So what NIP did was they broke up that duo, but unbeknownst to some people, they just reunited another duo as well, the IG duo of Leyan and Rookie of years past
so
as well.
Long, but yeah.
There are it's like 1,500 days since they played together. Level 6 from Kanavi.
Oh my God, that level 6 immediately gets the bloodthirsty fangs of the Poro out there. Ruler taking a heavy trade to keep missing in safe. Still going to see Rookie using some of that pressure from mid, though. It was very dicey for Leyan. He did burn his flash.
Did blow his flash. Very, very lucky for him that he managed to get away from the burst from Yagao. I thought he'd be able to get one shot there by the Aurora. Yagao does use that ultimate, so that's going to be on cooldown, but Leyan gets away with his life. And what that means is that he gets away with his life and can keep farming. So he's going to be able to keep getting that gold in his favor and build up towards that first item.
First item spikes, especially for JDG. It enabled them to kind of put some of that pressure out on the map and try to get that at least for the next big skirmishes. But it's where we can talk about maybe a little bit of that setup. We already talked about the go buttons, things like that, some of that proactivity from JDG. But I feel like NIP actually have some really good peel back answers into a lot of that. And that's a trend we've seen a lot of here recently in the LPL.
Yeah, it has been a lot about, and this is something, somewhat of a global meta too. It's about absorbing the engage and then re-engaging. I think teams like Gen G are very good at that. I think there are some teams across the world which have kind of showcased that in different regions to different levels. If you do get this Zyra on the chopping block first, it's a problem. But if you engage onto someone else, she puts down that ultimate, and that can be very, very powerful for allowing other people then the ability, the time and space to start running things back to them. That's not necessarily going to be the threat right now, though, because we're not in those 5v5s. So what I'm interested from JDG is, okay, you got the Sejuani ult coming back up again. There's no flash on Leyan. There's no flash on Nasus because he didn't take it. And that means that JDG do have some options to just fling that ultimate and see if they can get some good burst trades onto one of these unsuspecting members before they get to those 5v5s.
And I'm very curious that NIP are kind of gaining some advantages in farm, as we are going to see the ghost spot preemptively from Shanji. Get a little scared. The dog ears, you know, pricked up a little bit. But we're getting a massive CS differential between Leyan and Kanavi, obviously. But also, we've actually seen Rookie be able to use this pressure in mid lane pretty proficiently.
I think because Yagao used the ult in the in that attempted pick onto Leyan, which got his flash, means he hasn't been able to have that same burst threat back onto Rookie for the last minute or two. So Rookie's been able to take these really hard trades, and we did have that question of, okay, is this Aurora Blue 1 pickable for JDG? Is that something you can first pick? And Rookie has said, well, I'm going to play the Lucian. We'll see if we can counter it that way. Right now in the laning phase, that has worked. That's one of our big questions coming into this series. Half answered. We'll see if it lasts into the team fights.
The other big question was Leyan and Kanavi, and Leyan's sitting there 40 CS up over Kanavi, so I'd say we're doing just peachy in that regard. Kanavi is going to be walking face checking the bush into some vines, and there is some nasty underbrush there as Zhuo picks up the kill in return here, tying it up 1-1.
Yeah, someone forgot to call the gardener and trim that hedge down. Leyan gets himself a good pickoff onto Kanavi with the rest of the crew. That's going to allow the grubs to go even between NIP and JDG2. I don't really think there's any way you can test this, especially that True Shot Barrage clipping some HP bars too. That being said, though, Ruler is around. There is an outside chance that you could see a Flash Nautilus ult. And with the Kanavi coming back in with Flash and Ultimate, NIP, they get the kill into the jungle, but they can't move fast enough to get those grubs. That's a bit of a pain point for them now. That might just be 6 going over to JDG.
That's tough. I mean, Kanavi will be spotted walking over here, but as you said, maybe not much NIP can do. They're sticking around a little bit, but going to pull that off. So, grub again on the way for JDG, and that is a bit terrifying to give a team that is so good at knowing when they can push their pressure. All those grubs and that siege potential after these fights.
Yeah, and also when you've got a Jace winning lane, that just kind of sucks. I mean, Shanji, he's trying to stack, and
he'll be a big dog one day, all right? He's growing. The kibble is not affected him yet.
Yeah, but the problem is he's going to have to do that without a kettle, because the towers are going to be gone. He's going to pick off onto Kanavi. It does take a lot of ultimates to do this. So 3 ultimates for a kill into the jungler means that they don't have the fighting power if they did come back into that scene of the crime, and it does mean that they can't contest those grubs afterwards. Rookie going to move up against Flandre now. I think this is a really good lane assignment, having this Lucian. Lucian was historically a Jace counter. Khan used to play that one, amongst others as well. And we now see Rookie potentially trying to keep Flandre down with a different matchup.
See if that's still going to enable them to keep Yagao down, though. I think that was enabling NIP's early moves, keeping Yagao under turret, keeping him pressed up all the time. But we will have more objectives coming up. NIP want to continue stacking this one up. They've already put bodies down here, already have some seeds ready to go. And Shanji, he's getting some worth on the top side here.
Yeah, pops the ult to get the half Q cooldown. Thinks, okay, I can get myself 2 plates instead of just that one. All right, you know what? Considering that Shanji was sat there, not doing very much for this early game, blew his ghost a couple of times and died the one time. I think it's actually a good amount of gold to put on towards him. So that's important for Shanji. We did just see a bit of a damage check from Yagao. On one side, JDG have kept Shanji from being a problem so far. Is Yagao still going to be a problem? I'm going to guess yes. So be careful if this Aurora beyond this point has that Malignance. They're going to be a problem.
So NIP knew this was coming. They saw vision on Kanavi heading up this way. Shanji just says, maybe I can take it under turret. Not going to be able to, though. Juggled so beautifully by JDG. They'll take even more plates up here, as there was a response of the Dragon taken on the other side, and more plates to Rookie on bot lane. The control ward that was actually spotting out Kanavi that enabled NIP to make this bot side play did not get taken out either.
And Shanji, this is a bit of a continuation of a worry for him on weak side. Once he's behind in a lane and once he's left on the weak side of the map, he does tend to capitulate pretty hard. And yeah, NIP, they chose to make this cross map. They chose to put Rookie down into this bot side and have him be the point of power. Yes, he's going to get a load of gold, but at what cost? JDG still running around the map, and now they've caught Rookie.
He does have flash, but just going to wait out the between worlds. Missing. He has a dredge line, and it has Rookie's face on it. Oh, no, it didn't have Rookie's face. It must have been somebody else.
Case of mistaken identity there. We'll no matter. Playing efficiency. Ruler, why is he pushing up like this? This is dangerous now.
Immediately getting away there with the Cleanse Killer Instinct combo. Gotta be careful about that, though. The Cleanse is going to be a big tool for him to navigate these fights here, as we do have a Rift Herald coming up very soon for either side.
And I'm really waiting to see what our first 5v5s of the game will look like when we get round to that kind of Rift Herald, the third dragon coming up in the 3 minutes as well. We're getting to that point in the game where we're going to get our first big engages. Right the way through the draft, we were seeing this big engage combo coming in from JDG when you have the Aurora and the Kai'Sa that can dive forwards, the Sejuani and the Nautilus which can enable that too. And that's going to be really dangerous for NIP to walk up into. Yes, Leyan is very strong on an individual level, but he can't survive that dive. NIP are squaring up right now.
Square up. Better get ready to take some punches. Whoa, going in. They're going to get the Hexgate not going through, actually. Missing takes a little bit of a bite of a dirt nap. And Shanji finally does come over the Hexgate. It doesn't matter anyways. The Rift Herald secured by NIP and the kill.
Really well played by Zhuo. Now, the thing is, if the engage combo goes onto the Zyra, yeah, that's really bad for NIP. If it doesn't catch the Zyra and JDG couldn't get it there, then they can disengage for the team and they can stand behind that front line. Hexgate's coming through, Herald coming through. This should be just a free turret.
Ruler is there. They're going to get the turret and collapse onto Kanavi. Kanavi flashes and still dies. Missing. Does connect the lollipop, but that is a sour one you want to take out of your mouth. Now, Rookie going forward onto Flandre. You have a decent amount of damage onto the turret there as well. And it's just NIP carving back the little deficit that they had into a lead. Yagao answering with the bot side outer turret.
Much more decisive from NIP. That's been the difference in the last few minutes. JDG, they've kind of stood around but couldn't find their engages. NIP, they've had no such issues. They find those engages and they get themselves a lot of gold across the entire map. Shanji gets himself some turret gold. It means that he's not quite as far behind before. He's still behind, but hey, whatever. Leyan, though, this is a huge problem. Leyan has got his flash back. Yep. Kanavi doesn't have his flash either. And he's 2 levels up and a boatload of gold. That's a huge issue. If you can't shut down Leyan, he will be a huge threat. You can see that Zhuo manages to catch out Missing here, who really hasn't been finding the engages he would like to across this summer. This is another case of it. He's trying to maybe thread the needle onto Leyan, doesn't manage to do so. And now you don't have that Nautilus, and I just got to say, JDG, very, very greedy staying around here. The Herald's down, you see it being summoned. There is no point standing here. It's going down to the Herald charge. Giving over another freebie kill here is absolutely not what you want to see.
And I'm wondering how many of these deaths is it going to take for Kanavi to say, nah, give me the sticks. I cannot believe I opened this up by facilitating with my team with the Sejuani. As they have just NIP themselves kept the tempo up time and time again. Leyan will claim another one. Second kill for him. Get Yagao's flash, and Rookie claims him. As Kanavi just watches, his team is falling apart around him, and a tier 2 is now falling as well. NIP have exploded this gold lead.
Folks, this is the NIP that didn't win a series in the Ascension group. This is the team which was at the bottom of that upper group, but we thought they'd be so hard-pressed to climb their way back up to relevancy again in this playoffs. But this early game has been absolutely monstrous from them. The laning phase has been good from most of the players involved. Their early game has been so decisive. And now JDG find themselves, sadly, in a position that they have done many times before, where they are going to have to start stalling out and look for their one big team fight engage later on to see if they can bring themselves into it. This isn't helping. This is not stalling out the game. This is being very, very greedy with positioning. Missing, again, way too far forward. The plant's taken down with one last 2 out of that plant to take him down, but why you stood there in the first place? This is not it.
Is that the sound effect the plants make?
Yeah, I guess it is now. You heard it here first.
Oh, I'm gonna have to.
What sound do you think it makes?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
I'm sorry, I can't make convincing plant noises. All right, Dragon's up. Talk about that instead.
Well, the plant noises that Leyan is making are very, very loud screams from JDG. Now, Dragon is getting low. They have Between Worlds coming through. Yagao is in there, but the Dragon goes over. That's Hex point there for NIP. The fight's still continuing, though. Ruler picks off one. Now Leyan's going down as well. Ruler getting himself a couple, but it didn't matter because guess who was cleaning up? No, it's a quadra kill for Rookie in the end, and the man that needs to step up every time for NIP is the guy that puts them in JDG into the dirt.
JDG take a fight where if they weren't monstrously far behind in terms of map pressure, in terms of the early game gold, that could have been it. Yagao finds a great teamfight angle, but the gold's just not there. We'll watch it again in this replay. This isn't a bad angle from Yagao.
It's
he
not.
He catches out the really squishy backline. That's good damage. This is not on Yagao. You just can't be this far behind on the map. You can't be this far behind in the game. If they were even in this, I think JDG win this game. But this is the problem with giving over an early game like that, and real credit to NIP for having an early game like that. You can afford to take some more fast and loose fights like this where Aurora does get into the backline now because you're so fed, and that's only continuing to get more so.
Oh man, Rookie was chunking them too, doing tons of damage now already on the Lucian. And it really has just been a JDG composition that needs to really be ahead, to be proactive, isn't ahead, trying to continuously fight here, and NIP are just taking the more decisive fights. Speaking of, maybe a little bit too decisive here, it's Zhuo getting locked down. Will end up having to get his way out of that one with that flash, and NIP still putting pressure on this top side of the map right now, and they still have that giant 4K lead.
And that 4K lead, particularly with, weirdly, 1,000 gold in the advantage between support role, is another reason why Zhuo didn't either. We saw it in that last team fight. The extra gold being over to NIP and the damage not quite there from JDG means that NIP can play a little bit more fast and loose like this. Zhuo can get out with a flash in his W instead of just dying unceremoniously in the enemy jungle. And while all this is happening now, let's go revisit these compositions. We were talking about how JDG, they have a great 5v5 initial engage combo. We saw that not work around that dragon as Zhuo does get out safely there with a little bit of move speed.
Yeah, check the distance on the hook. I swear I've seen those hit 10 out of 10. I don't know. We got to get him back in the shop.
But I think the problem here for JDG is just that if you let one of these carries go through from NIP now, particularly the Zyra and the Lucian, if you let them go untouched in these teamfights, they're going to win the teamfight on their own. Great tree shot barrage coming through, opens up another angle for NIP.
And this has been the bread and butter style that NIP have brought these last couple best of fives. You get prio mid with an AD pusher, you have the length of damage, the tons of follow-up, and missing is going to die to Rookie, who is just going godlike in this game number one. And NIP are taking down the big purple worm. JDG, desperation is reeking.
Okay, can Yagao getting himself a big ult? There is still the chance of a smite steal. Kanavi does have flash.
Kanavi, is he going to turn into a king? He's in the pit. The Between Worlds is there, but they're losing bodies left and right. Kanavi is the focus. They know not to go for the Baron when he's in the pit, and it's NIP that are going to claim the Baron and claim the lives of JDG.
Both junglers go down. It gets a bit hairy for 1 second. Flandre flashes in, trying to get a steal because there's no smite up there, but he can't manage it. And this extremely large lead for this point in the game is only going to get larger than that. Ruler, he is powerful on the Kai'Sa, but honestly, he's felt very quiet. He can't impact this game in the way that he'd like to because the game has fallen apart away from him. In any other game, you'd think that maybe Ruler could play out these late game teamfights. He's just not been allowed those angles. The start of this comes through with another overstep from Missing. We actually let out today saying that, you know, there has been criticism of NIP's bot lane, but I think JDG's bot lane has somewhat escaped that criticism on another level. I think that Missing dying like that really doesn't help, because once again, Yagao finds great damage. He finds himself a great angle into here. This isn't even bad, but then it's just a problem of just not having that extra member, not having the extra disruptive force of the Nautilus, and of course, once again, I've said this multiple times, not having the goal to see things through.
They're just so far behind at this point that it's hard to take these fights that they want to take, that their composition wants to take. And now you're going into a peel comp. Maybe it's going to work now. Maybe the fourth time's the charm here. Zhuo goes down, but Shanji is about to just delete Missing. And now NIP smelling the blood in the water. They want to continue going forward. Photic, he's done this time and time again in the last best of fives. He is aggressive on this, and he is going to find everything there as NIP push JDG away from this bot lane play. It will be the 1-for-1.
10 seconds still. The Soul Dragon comes up as well. JDG, they're trying to smoke the mirrors. Kanavi is here.
Might be in trouble. Yeah, I mean, Photic completely overstaying here. Does have the arcade ship, but the immediate follow of the flash. Kanavi wants that kill and wants to follow up with Shanji's life too, but here comes Rookie. He is so ridiculously strong, and Shanji has already claimed the Poro as forfeit here. JDG trying to defend this bot side play as there's a dragon up, and it's a Hextech Soul Nymaera.
Yeah, that's why JDG were making these snatch and grab plays. They look desperate because they are desperate. NIP, they have ridden this early game into a demolition here. Teleport coming in.
Rookie.
I just think it's their own dudes,
Dude,
though.
Rookie is just literally from the Matrix right now. He is dodging every single ability, every single bullet thrown his way, and landing them right back. He's going to get another couple here, at least for NIP. His Ruler trying to claim something back. He's going to be run down. Oh, he gets the slow off. He does flash away. He's going to throw up the Yubi Kitty. Honestly, Ruler, same, bro, same. As now NIP, they are just running a JDG that we thought could be dominant straight through the washer.
Rookie's back, and he has himself even more items. And yeah, the amount of skill shots he's dodged. What's the quote again? It's like, you telling me I can dodge bullets? No, I'm telling you that when you're ready, you won't need to. NIP did that work. They downloaded all of the extra like gold and items they needed to get to a point where it doesn't matter how scrappy these fights are later. They just need one person with a free team fight that starts exploding after that point. NIP, this has been one of those few games where they take that early game lead and actually ride it into a game-winning advantage. I think that Flandre is still strong. I think that Rule is still strong, but they can't mount any sort of resistance here because their strength is matched by the other carries and their front line is doing so much worse in this game.
It really just has been an absolute flabbergastingly different performance from NIP over these last week or so since they came into these best of fives. And we take a look at this one, JDG, they just needed to try to find something.
Yeah, this first game has been so solid for NIP. This hasn't been the typical, oh, we have one good showing in the early game, but then we can't do anything else. It has actually been comprehensive. Ruler, he jumps in, he can't get the auto attack, can't get the Q, it's just an ult in to say hi, and then just gets out, causing him to burn his flash.
JDG still looking to find something on the map, still looking to find that follow-through damage the composition finds so well. Maybe trying to take advantage of the cocky nature, the big advantage that NIP have to find the little picks here or there. Maybe it starts here, maybe it starts on Leyan. He will go golden in between. Everything here is the damage onto Photic, and Leyan has gone down. This is a big pick for JDG in a little bit of a microcosm of what can go well for them, but they're losing so much.
This is exactly what we highlighted in draft. You can't be out of position here as NIP. You do get picked off very easily. Question is it too little too late? They get an objective bounty, but they are losing 2 pushing lanes. 6 growths for JDG actually make this a pretty good trade. They are very far behind in gold. They're going to get double objective bounties. They get themselves 2 turrets. There might be an engage coming through, though. Will they have died for their greed here?
Oh, not going to hit the Shattering Strike. Rookie coming with the flank on the Lucian, but he's by himself. He's going to try to get over to the rest of his team. They need to take him down. He's got a big shutdown on him. He's getting low, and he finally goes down. None other than Yagao cleaning that one up. But look at Shanji. He has finally become a big dog, and he's got that dog in him. As NIP, they're running JDG through the ground here. They're going to look at mid lane. In-hib turret as well. They're going to TP for it. Flandre trying to put up the best defenses, trying to get Zhuo, does get one back, is going to get traded back immediately though, as it's actually Zhuo that gets the kill in the end too. The mid lane in-hib turret will fall, and so will the in-hib.
Yeah, so it's not going to be the game. I think probably because Flandre does do a bit of wave clear and gets that extra kill down there. Shanji will absolutely demolish this tower, though, so it's not exactly like JDG are coming out of this feeling good about themselves. It might even be 3 inhibs if they're lucky enough. Nope, Photic has to back off, so it'll be top double inhib. And that top one just left on a sliver of HP on that top side. JDG, we said that they don't necessarily have the most explosive early games if Kanavi doesn't pop off. I don't think this game is on Kanavi, but they've been held to account all the same. Missy's going to die again. Those Hex Gates not helping him there.
Kanavi going to try to get something back now. Oh, they overextended Leyan, and he doesn't have anything to get out of this. Zanyos was just coming up, but look, Rookie, he's come back from the dead, and he's got vengeance in his eyes. Between Worlds is immediately ended by Yagao, and he'll be split between them as Ruler is trying to get his way out of this one. Shanji trying to go the angle with the AoE. Yeah. They're going to go straight for the inhib, though.
Yeah, Yagao, the only world he's between is this one and the Afterlife, and he's found himself sadly on a journey that 6 times this game. The first pick, Aurora, we said it's important for the draft. Can JDG first pick it and make something out of it? Is this a game about Aurora? No, not 100%, but I do think that Rookie has really demolished on this Lucian. Maybe that's something which they need to first pick instead of that the next time coming through. This play was pretty much the only macro play available left for JDG in this replay, but they go towards the double tower trade, they try and get themselves the objective bounties. They do overextend, I think they do an okay job with this team fight given the point they are in this game. That sounds maybe a bit harsh to say because they do get absolutely blasted in this one, but sadly, that just is the case.
Just despicable. That was...
Yeah, but he did miss the plus 12 on the
He's got
on
600
the
stacks,
so.
bro.
Yeah, but he could have had
another
more. 12.
You can always have more NASA stacks. Always.
Yeah, you can. And that's going to be a problem too. This hasn't been a game about the NASAs, but we've seen occasional moments like that where you realize what a late game monster it can be. NIP go towards that Baron. Dragon's up in 30 seconds. We could see an Elder Flip from JDG, but I think they're so far behind. I think that even the Elder Flip probably just gets them killed.
And I'm going to reiterate something I yelled at the top of my lungs in the first series of LGD versus NIP here is, where has this NIP been? Like, this is a team that on paper we had such high expectations. Since Leyan has come in, they have just found consistency that has been lacking literally all of summer.
Yeah, no, NIP, they've had a disastrous summer after everything we saw in spring, missing, caught out again, sent to the death chamber again.
What are you gonna do, Agent Smith? As Neo, the chosen one, will find everything in game number 1. It's a vintage rookie performance, 11, 1, and 13, and JDG will fall in game number 1.
NIP find themselves the 1 in their column. After that first game. Incredible early game from them. I think that their draft looks very confident from them. I think JDG knows every chance if it was a quiet early game, they could just pull that engage combo time after time and potentially punish that Zyra, but that just wasn't the case. The lanes went really well in mid lane and bot lane for NIP, and the Nasus losing that early kill and losing that lane early didn't end up being a game-losing factor for the team. Really want to praise Leyan. I think this was a very difficult game for him potentially because he was like target number 1 for JDG's combo to go towards him. He actually played out that game incredibly well, but you can't walk away from that game and praise anyone but Rookie. Yeah. Oh my god, that Lucian was disgusting.
And I'll just say right now, I didn't have Leyan almost flame horizoning Kanavi in game number 1 on my bucket list here, or on my bingo card rather, because my god, we'll see if Kanavi gets the sticks on something maybe a little bit more aggressive for him in game number 2, or if NIP are just going to be on that miracle dust, I guess. We'll see after game number 1 has ended. We'll have a little break. We'll be right back with game